Hi, my name is Mark Parcells. I'm a professor at the University of Delaware in the Animal and Food Science Department, and I'm here with Dr. Tanya Gressley and Christy Fitzpatrick to talk about the UD Envision Canner Summer Institute and Unique Strengths Scholars Program. These are summer undergraduate programs held in the College of Agriculture over the summer. So I'd first like to talk about, well, what are these programs and give you the ethos of each program. So Envision program initially was a funded program for animal and food sciences. It was funded in 2017 and was connected with Lincoln University and Delaware State University. And following the first year, we included other minority serving institutions, the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Wesley College, and Cheney University. And it was founded on the ethos that students working in science projects, if they had to tell their story and present their story as if they were explaining something to their parents, that they would envision, their perspective would change and they would envision themselves as scientists, not just students. And in changing that perspective and taking the intellectual responsibility for a project, it would lead to a more endearing and productive research experience. So following the success of those 3 years of funding, and during the third year of funding, we submitted a renewal that was awarded in its full amount for the college. So this includes not only animal and food sciences, but plant and soil sciences, entomology and wildlife ecology, and applied economics and statistics. So all the faculty in the college could serve as mentors for this program. Again, this included Lincoln University, Delaware State University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, Wesley College, which which is now combined with Delaware State University, and Cheney University in Pennsylvania. And this was expanded to fund students from any minority serving institution in the United States. And we were able to leverage the funding for these other programs. So students funded under the Summer Institute or Canner SI program would be trained and experience the same level of program as Envision. And so these ran together following 2021 after the untimely passing of Dr. Eric Benson, who was administering the Summer Institute program at the time. The Summer Institute has been around a little bit longer. So this was begun in 2013 by Dr. Tom Sims, who was the Associate Dean of Research for the college at the time. And the idea was to bring in students from outside the University of Delaware to give them opportunities. This was administered from 2015 to 2019 by Maria Paultier, and then Dr. Benson had it in 2019. And in 2020, because of the pandemic, we did not host students for that summer. In 2021, this was coupled with the UD Envision program, so it increased the number of students that could participate in these kind of joint programs. This is a donor-funded initiative, the Summer Institute, and it funds typically 5 to 7 students each summer. Since many of these are coming from outside, sometimes very far outside the university, this includes travel expenses as well as housing and stipend, and is currently being run by the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Tanya Gressley. The Unique Strengths Scholars is a more recent program. It was begun in 2019 by Dean Mark Rigger, and this program is focused on the top students within the college. Although students from outside UD may be considered, and is again administered through the Dean of Research initially by Dr. Eric Womack and then Dr. Angelia Seyfirth this past year. And it funds 4 to 5 students. Again, it's through donor funding. So depending upon the amount of that funding, it can vary in the number of students that it supports. It's currently being administered by the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies, Tanya Gressley. In addition to these three programs, we have some funding that comes from individual investigators that have grant funding, including summer stipends for students. So we've had quite a few faculty who have funding take a student from Envision that's funded through Envision or Summer Institute or Unique Strengths, and then fund an additional student for their laboratory. And so by doing so, we've been able to, instead of just funding 10 to 11 students, we're funding 25 to 30. And we anticipate having funding available for 25 to 30 positions for summer 2025. So to give you the highlights from summer 2024, here is the program video. So this past year, we hosted 26 students for the summer, and 9 were from outside the University of Delaware.
UD Envision is an undergraduate research program that offers students the opportunity to gain hands-on lab and field experience in agricultural research. Funded by the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, the UD Envision program accepts students from the University of Delaware and other institutions. UD Envision aims to uplift and offer opportunities to marginalized and underrepresented minority groups who are often overlooked in the research space. As an outreach program, UD Envision especially targets students of color from regional minority-serving institutions. During this 10-week program, students are paired with seasoned professors and graduate student mentors in UD's College of Agriculture and Natural Resources to conduct research. Students mainly work in University of Delaware's South and Star campuses. These research sites include Thompson Hall, Warlow Hall, the AP Biopharma Building, the Interdisciplinary Science and Engineering Lab, or ISAB, 15 Innovation Way, and UD's farm and field locations. Throughout the program, students document their research and attend various trainings, including safety training, videography training, video content training, and poster development. These trainings teach students how to conduct research and how to effectively communicate their findings. By the end of the program, students will have created a video about their research that will be uploaded to YouTube and showcased at the Delaware State Fair. Students also develop a poster that will be presented at the Summer Undergraduate Research Symposium. The program is not all about research. UD Envision, amongst many other things, is about fostering relationships. Students are constantly interacting and bonding with one another through a variety of activities, such as shared meals and a Cape Henlopen beach trip. The Envision program equips students with the skills they need to be successful in their future careers and helps participants envision themselves as the next generation of scientists.
So this was put together by Iana Register, and she met with each of the students, took a headshot, did a little biographical blurb, and the videos for each of those students are linked to that, and this is all on the webpage for Envision. So participating faculty for this coming summer come from animal and food sciences, applied economics and statistics, entomology and wildlife ecology, and plant and soil sciences. We have quite a few. So we have a total of 24 faculty with 25 to 30 positions available for this summer in all of these different areas. So animal physiology, disease and immunology, food safety and toxicology, wildlife ecology, entomology, environmental studies, plant microbiology, molecular biology, plant pathology, and water and soil physics, bioinformatics, genetics, and genomics. In our department, Animal and Food Sciences, that's the department I am, Dr. Alex Yadabarek, he studies typically health issues of poultry, looking at gut health as well as respiratory health. So he works with Newcastle disease and avian influenza, as well as bacteria and parasites associated with necrotic enteritis. Dr. Aditya Dutta works on reproductive biology, but has a cancer model for the development of ovarian cancer using Langhans. And he looks at pathways that are active in that as a model for human ovarian cancer. I'm a molecular virologist, so I study how viruses do things. I primarily focus on Marek's disease virus, a virus of chickens, but I've done work with Zika virus and some other fairly nasty pathogens and coronaviruses. Um, Vincenzo Ellis is a medical entomologist who studies a duck model for malaria. So you can see these mosquitoes feeding on the head of a bird. He actually studies the plasmodium that infects waterfowl. Brian Ladman is a senior scientist who studies primarily respiratory diseases and is a select agent um, lab professional. So he's able to work with high path avian influenza and exotic Newcastle disease or high path Newcastle disease in a BSL-3 lab. But he does work with a number of other viruses that are not as severe. New to our department is Dr. Shafiq Miora Kandi. He focuses on host pathogen interactions with a real focus on optimizing the use of antibiotics, development and testing of feed additives that stimulate gut immunity. And he looks at various pathogens primarily in chickens. Dr. Chang-Ching Wu studies food toxicology and nutraceuticals. So these are compounds from foodstuffs that have like anti-cancer, antibacterial capabilities. Kelly Davidson in Applied Economics and Statistics studies decision-making processes in consumer preferences. And she actually has had surveys where they have done MRIs on people as they are filling out a survey to see the part of their brain that's associated with decision-making. Michael Crosley and Chris Williams are also in entomology and wildlife ecology. Michael studies pests of agriculture, darkling beetles, and various other pest insects and ways of controlling them, biocontrol mechanisms. Chris Williams is a waterfowl ecologist and studies migratory and resident Canada geese, as well as other waterfowl. Alyssa Betts and Nicole D'Onofrio are plant pathologists. Alyssa works downstate, and she actually works with farmers to help control plant pathogens. Nicole studies the rice blast it's a rice blast fungus called Magnaportha orzii, and she studies the molecular mechanisms of how this fungus invades plants. Harsh Base is a plant molecular biologist who studies the interaction of bacteria at the rhizosphere. So this is at the part of leaves, of roots, where nitrogen fixation takes place and is affected by pathogenic bacteria. And he has developed strains of bacteria that create a productive and fend off microbiological pathogens by compounds that they secrete. Tara Trammell is an associate professor in urban forestry and looking at optimizing what types of trees, keeping some of the native species and optimizing their use for, preventing erosion. And Jesus Beltran is a new assistant professor in plant and synthetic biology. Dr. Jung-Yoon Lee is a world-class researcher in the plasmodesmata of plants. These are the channels that connect the cells of plants, and she studies what regulates the transmission of proteins among these cells. Sriram Inamdar is the head of the Water Science and Policy graduate program. He studies the accumulation of toxic chemicals in sediment like around dams and at various um, water bodies as a result of runoff from companies, things, or other types of point source pollutants. Uh, Deb Giese is a professor of environmental biogeochemistry, and he looks at the interaction of toxic chemicals with soils and in water. And he has plots in Florida. He has studies. So a couple of his students last year actually did research in Florida associated with this program. Matt Limmer is a new science and plant and soil biochemistry. And similarly, Alex Huddle is a new assistant professor as well, looking at agroecology and sustainable production systems. Chi Mu is an assistant professor in maize molecular uh, genetics. So she works with introgressing and optimizing genomic analyses to essentially breed for, say, drought-resistant crops and stabilizing root structures. Zach Hemaker is an assistant professor of landscape architecture, optimizing uh, the landscape not only for functional and sustainability, but also for aesthetics. And very recently, the university hired Yin Bao, an assistant professor in digital architecture. So he is at the forefront of robotics and image analysis and processing for optimizing how much water and nutrients need to go on crops by having these robots kind of scan and do image analysis, and by correlating these images and wavelength analysis, he's able to interpret whether or not, these crops need phosphorus or nitrogen or calcium or more water, or and so the growth of these plants can be optimized. So we have a lot of different areas of research, and we also have a sustainable garden, organic garden that's managed by Abby Reeves, and we've had students participate in this, trying new techniques to optimize natural and organic way of growing fruits and vegetables. And these actually go fresh to you to a garden that sells to the public. But it looks at weed management, nutrition, organic versus conventional production. So what, as a participant, do you get out of this? The stipend for the summer is $4,500 paid in 3 installments. You get on-campus housing at a complex called the Waverly. This is an apartment complex that has a pool, and so if you stay here, there's a really nice kind of apartment to stay in. The use of UD facilities, library, gym, the multimedia center. You have a mentored research experience, up to $500 for research supplies. And you gain experience in public speaking, in working with a mentor to develop a hypothesis, synthesizing concepts, and then telling your story through training in videography. So you not only get trained in how to use the high-end video equipment and editing software, but you also get training on what makes impactful videos, what is the best way of showing things, and in a 2 to 3 minute captivating and informative video format. We also You also get some training in e-portfolio development. So what you make in terms of video will be on YouTube, but you can add that as a link to your e-portfolio, have that on your resume. We have some visits and team building fun activities. And then for those who participate in this, we do, have as one of our goals that people want to go to graduate school. And so we encourage that through waiving the application fee for participants in these programs to apply to the University of Delaware for graduate school. So you can apply online at this URL, canr.udel.edu/envision. This takes you to the main page, and there is a button there to hit the application. The application deadline this year is March 1st. So before you go in to do the application, make sure you have an updated resume because you'll upload that, and faculty will get to see all of the applicants, their interests. So in the application, it asks you what areas you're interested in terms of animal health or plant molecular biology or entomology, and what courses you've had. Like, so where are you in your program? And then you upload a resume that includes some references. And participants will also be asked to complete an online survey because we want to assess this program. So we have a pre-program assessment, mid-program, and post-program assessments to see if the experiences that you gain here really do kind of change your way that you envision yourself. Participants will be selected by April 1st, so we'll start notifications then. And then all participants are required to undergo background check and will be entered into the UD system for pay. So that takes about a month or so. So we'll let you know in April, but then business associates will be in touch with you to get all this information so that when you move in and when you start, so the move in is on Sunday, June 8th, but the programs all start the following day, that you'll be entered in the system so you get your money in a timely way. The state fair event this year will be Sunday, July 20th. That's where we go to the state fair. And if you've never been to the Delaware State Fair, it is a learning experience. You'll love it. It's like going back into Charlotte's Web. And then at the end of the program, we have an undergraduate research symposium. So all the research and all the labs across the university presents. There's posters and oral presentations on August 14th. That's a Thursday. And for those who are in university housing for the summer, the move out day then is following that. So I'll pause here for questions. But these are the jump drives that we give out at the state fair. So all of these have loaded on them the YouTube videos of the participants. So every year we do this, we give out about 500 of them, and we give out about